that another shot?
Yeah, okay. All right, I'm still Bethany Sanchez. I would direct the Fair Lending Program at the Fair Housing Council. I'm excited to talk to you today about using data on home lending and to invite you to join our CRA caucus to more effectively advocate for the communities that you serve. So I'm excited to talk to you today about using, I'll say it again, about using data on home lending and to invite you to join our CRA caucus to more effectively advocate for the communities that you serve. Homeownership is widely acknowledged by community development experts and academic scholars as having positive impacts on not only homeowners but also on the community in which the home is located. Successful homeownership requires borrowers who understand the full range of responsibilities that they're getting into and who are prepared financially to address the full range of other expenses related to homeownership. And it requires lenders who are willing to lend. Increasing homeownership in low and moderate income communities requires that the lenders are willing to offer the full range of home loans to credit-worthy low and moderate income borrowers. My work at the Fair Housing Council and this presentation will address this need. Among my roles at the Fair Housing Council is to work to ensure that all borrowers in the home lending market have fair and equal access to loans and to prevent foreclosures. I also connect lenders with opportunities for lending and investment in Central City communities. This 1938 map of Milwaukee shows one of the historical reasons why we're so racially segregated. The U.S. government recommended that no home mortgage credit be extended in the areas in red. So anyone who wanted to buy in these neighborhoods had to have cash. In 1968, fair lending laws were enacted, outlawing redlining. And in '77, we gained another tool, the Community Reinvestment Act. This federal law provides banks with an obligation to meet the credit needs of the entire community. If a regulatory agency finds that a bank is not serving lower income neighborhoods, it can delay or even deny that bank's request to buy another bank or to open a branch or to expand any of its other services. Banks are custodians of community wealth, so they have an obligation to determine the credit needs of their customers and those who might like to become their customers. CRA establishes formal mechanisms for banks and regulators to seriously consider the community's needs and input. I coordinate the Fair Housing Council CRA caucus, an informal group of nonprofit and government organizations who look at banks' lending data and their community services, and we use CRA to encourage banks to better serve our communities. We give our input to the regulators who evaluate the bank's CRA performance. Comments help the regulators evaluate the bank's lending, investing, and service activities in the low and moderate income communities within their footprint. Sending written comments on the performance of a bank can open up conversations that you never before thought were possible. Letting the regulators and the people at the top of the bank know that you're paying attention and you want to work with them can lead to the creation of productive relationships and partnerships. So how do you find out whether a bank is lending in your neighborhood? You take a look at the HMDA data. Redlining is illegal, but it still exists. The HMDA data assists in identifying discriminatory lending patterns and enforcing fair housing laws. For any given lender, you can look at their lending in specific census tracts or the city or the county that you serve. HMDA provides aggregated information, not information on individual loans, but it provides it in a variety of ways. Once you have that data, you can compare the information on the characteristics of the people getting the loans in the neighborhood with the characteristics of the neighborhood. If your residents are mostly people of color, but most of the loans are being sold to white people, that might show a need for some additional outreach or products. Use those comparisons when you comment on a bank's CRA performance. Another way to use HMDA data is to map it. Show where the loans were made and compare them to the population. Mapping is a powerfully visual way to tell a story. The next 3 slides show how mapping HMDA information can tell a story. They show the growth in high-cost mortgages sold in Milwaukee over a 3-year period. The darker the color, the more intense the amount of high-cost loans sold. The minority census tracts are outlined in green, but you don't really even need that since the minority tracts are also the ones that have the deepest purple color. That deep purple and the navy blue show the most intense density of high-cost loans. As the area of purple and navy blue expand, you can see the growth of toxic, high-cost, generally predatory loans, and thousands of those loans that have ended up in foreclosure, undoing years of community development work and tearing neighborhoods apart. So where can you find this data? Well, I can direct you to a couple of different websites that are helpful, but easier yet, if you contact me directly, I can put the information into a report for you for free. And please contact me for information on the next meeting of our CRA caucus. I really look forward to working to help help our community become healthier, safer, and more prosperous.